One. Morning, everybody, and welcome to our Invest GP committee this morning. On this committee are myself, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Blackmore, and Mayor Clayton. So we'll start off this morning with our land acknowledgement. The city respectfully acknowledges the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis people as the original caretaker of the lands and the surrounding area. We're grateful to live, learn, work, and play on the Treaty 8 territory within Turtle Island, and acknowledge these lands have been home to diverse and sovereign nations and the Inuit nation since time immemorial. And with that, we'll start our meeting. First up, we've got some delegates here from the Storm, so if you folks would like to come up and grab a seat up front. I think the mics are on for you there, and just give yourself an introduction.
Councillors, President Grande Prairie Storm, Mr. Jordan Johnson, he's the secretary of the team, and our executive director, Nicole Menzies. Secretary Treasurer.
Secretary?
No.
Promotion?
There we are, promotion today. So thanks for taking time to hear us today. Just first of all, with the city of Grande Prairie, I want to, on a side note, with the naming rights of the arena, I haven't had a chance to thank a lot of you. It's probably been the best thing my partner I'd done with Bonnet's, his team up with the city. The naming rights have put us into a social media category that we've never been before, so it's been a challenge for us always to get any attention from social media, so this has been a great partnership for us, so I want to chance before all you say thank you. So over to Storm, we're going to hear from Jordan, both Nicole here fairly quickly. Just a little bit about the executive. We worked hard. Morgan Lang is sitting in the vice president role. We've got a couple of nominees today at the AGM. Our AGM today is at noon. So we've worked hard at trying to build this off-ice program, and I think we're gaining ground every day. The product on the ice probably hasn't been good for a lot of you. I know it's not good enough for most hockey guys, but our hockey people, it's been a tough road to win in this town again. It seems like we short one or two players, don't got something right on and off the ice, but the program is it's heading in the right direction. As you're going to hear today, we just got a few challenges that we're faced with day in and day out. So on that note, I think I'll turn it over to Mr. Jordan.
Okay, thanks, Murray. Jordan Johnson, treasurer, so I'm more the financial guy, taking over the role from Mark Krause in November of last year. So kind of 6-7 months into this, learning the position. Just a little bit about the Storm. Been here for 30 years, an integral part of the community and in the Peace Country. And we also, one of our mandates is scholarships, trying to get as many kids scholarships through this program, and just that continual journey of raising good young people in the sport of hockey. So we've worked hard to integrate in a youth development program for all kids of the community. This isn't just an elite hockey organization. It's really grounded in hockey for all community members. So quick kind of review of the 2020 or 2022-23 year. Some good things around on the revenue side. We saw a record number, $1.3 million, due to a lot of hard work by many people. But unfortunately, we fell short this year by about $200,000, and we'll look at that. COVID has created a real big challenge. I'd say COVID's number one. We had to take on $310,000 of debt over the last couple of years due to that, and then some inflationary pressure. Well, we're doing a lot with the kids, 250 kids playing hockey through the Storm system. We provide a lot of entertainment for the community members, and we're getting good attendance. So it's an indicator that the community likes the hockey program and the entertainment that we're doing. There's some sports tourism that we started with the prospects spring camp that we ran. A lot of community engagement with the players and the coaches at practices and in schools that Nicole will touch on some more. And we've made some changes. That's another kind of positive thing over the years. Some new board members, new ways of looking at things. Nicole has joined us as executive director, which is now looking over the entire organization and responsible for the budget. And we're implementing some new bylaws. We're passing them here at our AGM this afternoon. Doing some more fundraisers, some more creative ways of raising money. So with our budget, Nicole and I have worked really diligently to try and trim expenses and look at what we can do differently next year. We're looking at right now a shortfall of about $38,000, and then we need $108,000 to cover our loan principal payment. So some of the debt we took on over COVID is coming due, and it's really created a big challenge for us. So two things we're dealing with: one, balancing our budget, and we're looking for some help with that. And then the other is the debt payments, being able to have a plan forward to pay them off. So we're looking for three things from the city. Number one would be provide ice at the city facilities free of charge for all our youth development programming. Second would be waive the Bonnett's energy place fee, and that was about $30,000 this last fiscal year. And then the last would be forgiving the storm loan. There's $158,000 left owing on it. It's about $40,000 a year in principal and about $10,000 in interest. So that would go a long way to making us sustainable. And then we do have a line of sight to being able to pay off our SEBA loan by the end of the year and service the HASCAP loan. I'll pass it over to Nicole.
Thank you. So I just want to talk a little bit about the positives of the team and what the team brings to the city. First of all, we are something that the entire community can rally around. We're the only team in the Peace Country, so we really take a lot of pride in being the Peace Country's team. Every time I'm with my kids at an Oilers game, there's a little kid walking by in a Storm toque and a McDavid jersey. So not only just as a community, we can really take pride in the team, but it's really important for our youth too, to have this team to look up to aspire to. Even if they're not hockey players, the kids can really connect with the team. We're one of the only organizations that has the ability and does on a weekly basis bring 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 plus people together for the same cause. So during that game, even if you're not a hockey fan, our goal is entertainment. Our goal is showcasing everything that the region has to offer. We partner with dozens of local charities who will come and set up a table, sell Frisbees for a Frisbee toss, raise money for their cause, get the word out. Some examples of some of the groups that we partnered with this year were Impact, Odyssey House, Rotary for our Dignity Drive, the hospital for the teddy bear toss, Safe Communities. We have the AMA crossing guards all the time, Lions Club, Interact. Our team took on an initiative this year called Lift the Mask for Mental Health, and that was completely player-driven. The boys raised $40,000 for the Canadian Mental Health Association of Northwest Alberta, and they spent dozens of hours in schools talking to kids. So yes, they're a hockey team, yes, they're hockey players, but a really important pillar for us is doing good in and for our community. We have 30 home games a year. There's a new interlock schedule, so there's no more North Division and South Division, and that means that 28 home games, we have teams coming from across the province, using our hotels, using our restaurants for breakfast, lunch, dinner, our other amenities, bringing their fans with them. Like Jordan touched on, we had a prospects camp where we saw 120 out-of-town players from all over North America, the States, different parts of the province, BC, Eastern Canada. So we really believe that we do bring something important to the downtown community and the city at large. We're working on putting together a bid to host the Centennial Cup. So the last time that was here, it was the Royal Bank Cup, and that was in 2004. And that generally has a really big economic impact on the community. They usually estimate around $3 million. So for us, we're really hoping that the team survives, not only for the importance to the city to rally around the economic development, our youth development, like Jordan said, it's not just elite hockey players, it's giving all players an opportunity to play hockey in the way that works best for them. So we have fall development programs, winter development programs, elite spring hockey, we have spring development, summer camps, and we are also the only program north of Edmonton that this year offered 4 all-female spring teams. So for girls who choose to continue playing hockey on a female team, previously they would have had to go to Edmonton, and this year the Junior Storm was able to provide that. I'm also estimating that our players will perform about 800 to 1,000 hours of community service this year. And what that looks like is them going into schools, us bringing back the Storm School program where they're into schools reading. They work with AMA and teach the crossing guards how to keep the kids safe all year long. They'll be participating in minor hockey. And they'll also be helping with the various charities that we partner with. And the last thing that Jordan kind of said was we don't just want to make sure that we're putting a good hockey team on the ice. We want to develop hockey players. One thing that is really cool is the amount of Storm hockey players who've gone on to do something else. They've gone on NCAA scholarships or youth sports, and then they come back and they're an important part of the business and the volunteer community in Grande Prairie. So we're looking to keep that tradition going.
You guys said I'll just close in with our presentation that the fact that it's the partnership we're looking for too. There's probably some stuff that the councillors around the table here around the room can bring forth too, but we're looking at partnering up in other avenues too with the city to make this again a city-based hockey program, a non-profit team that needs the support. So any partnership ideas you guys have, we're more than open, and the board's more than willing to work with it. So partnership is what we're looking for.
All right, thanks for the presentation. I'll just look to my colleagues to see if there's any questions. Councillor Blackmore.
Thanks for coming. Mike needs the mic so he can hear us. I really appreciate the fact that you're trying to turn around a financial position that has been hard to handle and due to circumstances that are somewhat beyond your control. I'm not finding the numbers line up for me, so I need you to explain this a little better to me. So you mentioned that you have $310,000 in debt, and your shortfall roughly for last year would have been $200,000 with your debt payment and the other expenses that you have. I think that was correct. Then you said later that your shortfall is $38,000, and you need loan payments of $108,000, which is $147,000. But then the amount of money that you're asking the city for comes to a total of about $224,000 between the ice time and forgiveness of the loan. So those numbers aren't quite lining up for me. And so if you could address those maybe a little and explain why you're looking for basically $224,000 from the city.
Okay, so that all those numbers that you said are correct. The loan payment that this next budget year, it's $40,000 of principal and about $10,000 in interest, but the whole forgiveness would affect a multi-year for a total of $158,000. So this budget year, you know, we're not trying to be too greedy. we're still going to have a shortfall this year. We still have to roll up our sleeves and work really hard to make this work. The reality is like we won't make it through another year without help, and we don't want to be here asking for handouts unless it's our absolute last resort. And so, but I'm glad to work through any of the numbers if you want more clarity.
So the 108,000 in loan payments, that you would need to make that every year. Like, obviously it would probably diminish a little over time, but that's your annual loan payment amount. That's what I'm understanding?
For next year, yeah. And then it tapers off. Like this, the city loan will be done in 3 years.
Okay.
And then that drops off. The HASCAP loan kicked in this year. It's a 10-year loan. And then the CEBA loan, which is, we got 60, we have to pay back 40 by the end of the year. That's the one we really want to pay off by the end of the year. Otherwise, then we're on the hook for 60,000 plus interest.
Yeah, I understand that loan. Okay. I think I'm good.
Any other questions from my colleagues here? Councillor Bosch and then Mayor Clayton, please.
Thank you all for coming. I'm not on this committee, but I just want to say what I've noticed with the storm in this last few months since I've been hanging around your board meetings is the advancement in running the business aspect of it. It's not just hockey, and it's not just the elite players. I see a difference in bringing in new bylaws and policies that we haven't really seen much of before. I see this Centennial Cup dream that you're going to go for, which we haven't done a ton with. And the costs related to youth advancement. There's a cost to hockey. It doesn't matter if it's your parents paying or the Storm putting some of the money in. It's a piece that is undeniable. It doesn't matter if it's hockey or volleyball. But I like the changes. I like seeing the talk around the board in regards to what we can do to make money. And so instead of just receiving money from your visitors watching, it's how do we make money up and above. So you had your hockey dinner. That was great. You know, people seem to really, really like that. I like seeing that you're getting out in the community more. COVID, you know, did a number on us in that regard. So it's good to see the boys putting out the 800 to 1,000 volunteer hours. You know, we had some lacking in that in the past. And then I understand you're working on some other things, hopefully in the future, you know, more marketing, more in programming. The one question you asked here for free youth ice time, what does that equate to?
So that's the 35,000, I believe it is. That's based off about 250 hours of city ice that we used this last year, which is where we'll advertise a program that anybody in the community can sign up, and we'll run it with some of the Storm kids and some professional coaches.
Right, I just didn't hear the number on that. But no, I commend this team for, you know, thinking of ways and moving forward instead of, you know, asking for handouts all the time. I know this year doesn't seem to be feeling like that, but I see progress for you. So super impressed.
Thanks, Wendy.
Mayor Clayton?
Thanks, Chair Plot. You mentioned the 30th anniversary of the storm. Can you tell me you're a year ahead, what you got planned for the community to celebrate the 30th anniversary?
Sure. So 2026 would be our 30th, and that's also the year that we'd be applying for the Centennial Cup. One thing that we are launching this summer is an alumni network. There's such a vast group of alumni, and many of them have returned home to Grande Prairie. So we hope that over the next couple of years, with getting the alumni network, with growing the Junior Storm program, that by the time it is the actual Storm's 30th anniversary, we've put a lot of this community engagement into place. We've put a lot of the volunteer hours into place. Our GM expects to have a pretty solid team on the ice this year, a young team that will continue to grow. So we're really hoping that by that 2026 year, all the pieces have kind of fallen into place, and it's really something we're able to celebrate.
Great, thank you.
Councillor O'Toole, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming in today. My concern is, how's the rest of the league looking? Are we other teams in situations similar to what's happening here?
Is that-
As well. Yeah, the rest of it's all unique, Councillor O'Toole. It's really with the nonprofit organizations. The Alberta Junior Hockey League only has a few teams that are privately owned, so most of the teams are owned by their community. A similar situation with ours, where the BC Junior is 100% privately owned. So with that, everybody's got the unique deal. Like Fort McMurray, for example, they got 100% of the concession, the parking, the arena. They actually run the hockey rink in Fort McMurray. Next teams like Camrose and Canmore, they struggle with a lot of stuff too. But I can tell you, we looked at a lot of Junior A teams, both in BC Junior and here in Alberta, that this isn't a thing you do to make money. Like, this program is really here to partner up and to put a certain amount of elite kids through to the next level. But as I said earlier, to get these kids there, you're working with the entire age group from 6, 7 years up. So the rest of the league is in the same boat. We've got a differential level with Brooks and Spruce Grove continuing to be the top 2 teams year after year. So are we close to taking a Brooks on and, say, being the AJHL champions? No, not today. But that's definitely the goal and the mandate. So along the way, it's, again, staying is why we're here, is we want to stay in business and stay working with the community and all you people.
Okay, Councillor O'Connor, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming in. Love to see you here. As your players have raised $40,000 for a community, I'm just wondering, is there an opportunity or plans put in place for your team to raise funds to reduce debt? Now, that may sound like a little negative, but I'm just wondering, if you help you, then we'll help you. That's kind of...
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. Like Jordan said, we kind of have a 9-step plan in place to help us. So this piece that we're asking for today is just a part of it. Where we're different than other nonprofit organizations, like, for example, gymnastics or minor hockey, we don't have hundreds and hundreds of users, right, where we can change the fees and things like that. So part of our plan this year is to change some of the fundraising and have the players involved. So, for example, we're running a spring raffle right now. We plan to run a second one in the winter, where the players are heavily involved in going to the mall and selling tickets, or going to Eastlink Center and selling tickets. We plan to have some more events that are fundraisers during the season that the players can be actively involved in. So that's really is important to us. And then we do have sponsorships, and the players are involved in maintaining a relationship with their jersey sponsor. So they'll go to their office and visit and do some social media or promotions for them. But yeah, we're absolutely looking at getting our players involved during the season and being part of this fundraising and keeping the team running.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, I really enjoyed Louis DeBrusque and Jack Michaels. That was very candid, very real, and if you can do that again with other types of players throughout the NHL, I think that would draw more people in to help support you. So I thought it was a wonderful event.
I think another point on Nicole's base here too is we've got one of our assistant coaches and a former player too there running around to the businesses too, representing the hockey team too. So we're all out helping, trying to increase that top line too. So it's sure nice to see these coaches and these players show up on the doorstep of businesses too, and it's not a bad way to increase the top line too. So we're having some success with that right now.
Councillor Berg, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Palat. So, Murray, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but just so that it's fully out in the open, and I realize that this is an infinitely different model than, say, the NHL, which is, again, hopefully to win a Stanley Cup and generate some cash for the ownership. Because this is different, and just because I want citizens to understand why you're here, can you describe the current ownership structure of the Storm and what its role is?
So the current ownership, it's community owned. We have certain members in the community that have some equity tied up in it. And those loans have been in place for roughly probably 5-6 years now or longer. So there's the team isn't owned, right? It's a community-based team. So we've had certain businesses and individuals put money in over the years to keep the team afloat. The structure of the organization right now is to we run the president, the VP, the treasurer, and then of course now with Nicole's executive officer role, we're trying to just put it back into one person's hands where we don't got 1,000 people with brainstorming ideas or good or bad ideas where Nicole can say yes or no to it. So the structure is really, it's a community-based team. There's people with equity in it, but it's, again, nothing that there's, at one time, I think back in the late 80s, we had $300,000 or $400,000 in GICs. The oil patch was going there and stuff, and we'd put a lot of money away. It just, times have changed so quick now with, the budget back then was $330,000. It's no different, I guess, than going to the Safeway or Save on Foods post-COVID, right? So, the recipe here, again, to say that there's nobody that owns this hockey team. I don't think there's any significant amount of money probably ever to take out of this organization. The biggest thing is to keep it afloat where a lot of young men and kids throughout our community have a place to play this level of hockey, enjoy the Alberta Junior Hockey League, and hopefully go on to do bigger and better things. So I'm not sure if I'm answering the question quite right, but it's there's definitely no ownership here.
You did perfectly fine. Thanks.
Thanks for that. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Palat. A couple questions, and then I have some questions for administration. Can you tell me, Jordan or Murray, in regards to players' fees? I know during COVID there was fees that you charged the players. Are you still charging the players, and what does that look like?
We did, because that was a league standard at the time to get through. The league went away from that, and so no, we don't charge players any fees today. We talked about it lots. I think the consensus is that we need a certain standard of high quality players to compete and win and put on a good product. And if we put fees out there, it's going to deter those players to come play for us because.
And I'm not suggesting you should. I'm
so
clarifying the difference.
Great question, and we struggle with it. And at some point, it might be a last resort for us to go that way.
And just I know the answer, but for the community who might be watching, how many paid staff do you have? And sort of following up on Councillor Berg's comment, this is not a moneymaker for the investors, obviously, in the financial situation you're in, but how many paid employees do the Storm have?
GM, head coach, assistant coach, trainer, physio, and then our executive director.
Perfect. So 7. Okay. Great. Thank you. That's all I had.
A note, Jackie, on that too is with the geographics of Grande Prairie. We'd love to. A lot of these boys come out of say our AAA program. They're paying anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. You go to an academy, it's anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 a year to join any of these academies away from Grande Prairie. So we'd love, and we've debated, like Jordan said, lots to have, say, a $2,500, $3,000 fee once you make this hockey team. The problem is if Camrose doesn't do it, the geographics come into play, and well, why would I go to Grande Prairie and pay $3,000 when I can stay in Camrose and play for free? Mm-hmm. So we'd like the league to step in and say, yeah, it's pay to play. That would pay for one coach.
Right.
Would pay for a position. So it's just not equal across the field, right? So it's tough to be competitive if we're offering it or mandating it and somebody isn't, right? So.
Councillor Blackmore.
I have one follow-up money question for Jordan. You said you're asking us to give you city ice for $35,000, and then there was another amount for $30,000. What was that for?
So that's the facility fee that the Storm pays the city. That was the amount last year. I don't know if it's per ticket or per game or what the contract states, but that's the amount. And so the structure is like, we're not saying, okay, we want a grant from the city. It's just if we don't have to pay that to the city, that will go a long way in our financial sustainability.
Yeah, I understand that. And then you have loans with basically angel investors in the community. Have you spoken to them to ask them for the same allowance in waiving those amounts?
Yeah, basically, with the city, the people around the city, or anybody that's got any equity in this thing right now, too, we've spoke to them, basically all of them. Some are getting along in the tooth with us, too, but it's probably going to just continue that way. It's, I mean, the city's obviously our first concern in icing a product on the ice with the players, so all those guys or those businesses are understanding, too, that they most likely won't see any money ever back.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a question for me, I guess, with the equity investors that put in, I guess, the angel investors, so to speak, of your club, are they drawing any interest on that money, or is it just?
It's a small number. It's been so long to look back. I don't know if you know it, Nicole or Jordan.
There's a couple that are not interest bearing.
Yeah, so the number was 2 or 3% back here 8 years ago, but it's been basically something that if it's not been wrote down, it has been.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Councillor Palat. Can you tell everybody, in regards to the league overall, the attendance for Grande Prairie versus other teams? I think people would be pleasantly surprised.
Sure, thank you. So we have the nicest facility in the AJHL, but we regularly draw an attendance of over 1,000 people. So on averages, we averaged second in the league by 27 people. So we're really looking for that first place spot, and to us, that shows that people are enjoying the game, that it's good entertainment, that it's good value. It's still one of the least expensive nights out for a family. I checked some numbers for my family of 5, and bringing them to a Storm game is still one of the most affordable ways to get out and enjoy the amenities in the community. So, yeah, we expect that we should be able to get to first place in attendance this year.
Okay, I think we've run around the queue, lots of questions, so I appreciate you guys coming in, and we'll probably work on this with towards the end of our agenda. So thanks for coming in. Appreciate the update and the conversation. Sorry, Councillor O'Toole's just wondering if it's possible if you could just send us your speaking notes just for a file. Okay, that'd be great. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll keep moving on our agenda, and we'll go to our next item with our service area update to Chief Harrop, please.
Sure, thanks, Councillor Palat. So for a service area update for Invest GP, continued momentum, obviously, on the rural renewal program. We've now had 307 candidates endorsed, and 413 employer applications are currently in process. So, good.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Mr. Harrop.
I just want to make sure I'm not interrupting.
In a regular council meeting, delegations have an identified space in the agenda. As standing committees, they don't. So if council has any business arising from this, I'm just going to suggest that we put it under, for today, under outstanding items, but we could deal with it now. It's up to the chair.
Well, you know what? While it's fresh, maybe we'll come back to you, Mr. Harrop, if that's fine, and we'll deal with it now. And I'll just look to my colleagues to see how they want to handle this and proceed. Councillor Blackmore, please.
Thank you, Chair Plot. I'm not sure that all of my questions have been answered at this point, but I do think we need to refer this to council for funding. When we look at the events that take place in the Bennett Centre, the biggest reason to support events or to have events, whether it be a concert or a hockey game or a religious gathering, the events take place because it meets a need in the community. It's not tied to money particularly. It's to make sure that our community has a place to gather, that they enjoy themselves, and that they that's what they look for when they pay taxes. They want to see that level of enjoyment in the community. And so I would make a motion to refer the Storm request for $223,794 to council for deliberation, and ask you to support this motion, because I think we need to have a deeper discussion that involves all 9 of us at the table rather than the 4 of us. I am not sure that I would support the motion in its entirety at council, but at this point in time to move it forward, I think that that's the best move that we could make.
Okay, just to speak that, actually, I'll go to Mayor Clayton first.
Thanks. Just in that total amount, would you be open to a friendly amendment to identify the 3 items as requested? So the ice time for camp, the ice time for league, and the loan. So the 3 items. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Mayor Clayton. I was going to ask for something similar. So, Councillor Bressie?
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, I not on the committee, can't vote, but definitely appreciate it. I know for me this is a pretty hard sell, at least to fill the whole request, but appreciate getting to a venue where I can make motions and I can vote. Just want to give a heads up that when this to administration, that if committee passes this and does come to council, I'm going to have some questions. I need to understand better what this means on our bottom line and in terms of advertising revenue, concession revenue. Just I need to understand more of the business side of it from our perspective if this comes to us for debate.
Thanks for that. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay. See it showing up on our e-scribe now, so if we could please vote. And that carries. Thank you for that. Thanks for the motion, Councillor Blackmore. And with that delay, we'll pop back to our Chief Harrop for our update, please.
Thank you, Councillor Platt. So the first thing we're going to update on from an Invest GP is just the continued momentum on the rural renewal program. Thus far, year to date, we've had 307 candidates endorsed and 413 employer applications are in progress and or approved. Continued momentum to the point where we're bursting at the seams on this process. So this last week, myself and our chief of staff met with our government partners just to walk through the program and the success we've had, but also some of the support we need by way of streamlining some of the back end. We have a lot of communities around the region and the province calling us, asking us why it's so successful and what we're doing, which is great. But it just begs the question that, there's some back end systems that I think if they were set up from the program itself could benefit all communities as this goes forward. So great continued momentum. I know there's a lot of appetite in this room for us to continue to get that demand, but trust me when I say we're bursting at the seams and we need some support, and we're seeking that support to streamline the back end to get even more people in. So a great news story there, but lots of work to do. The other thing we wanted to mention from the Invest GP from an economic development standpoint is that we were down at the International Economic Developers Conference in Calgary. Learned about many new innovative approaches that both Calgary and other communities are undertaking with respect to workforce development, creative industry sector development, incentives, a whole slew of opportunities. So it was a great session, and it's continuing to build our learning within so that we can really deploy these and continue to innovate to drive our business forward and our community forward. Smaller tactic, but an important one. We also supported a medical student ambassador here last week from the University of Alberta. She shared with us her medical education journey with high school students here locally, but also gleaned insights for us. So again, recruitment of new doctors in the area is a key focus for us. So even an N of one opinion in a session like that really gleaned a lot of great insights. So we appreciated her time there. And lastly, from an Invest GP standpoint, we're having our business mixer on Wednesday and expecting a great cross-section of businesses from across the community. From our investment attraction standpoint, we were at the Global Energy Show last week. We were actually hosting a booth jointly with the MD of Greenview and the County of Grande Prairie to highlight the opportunities of the region. Very important that when we're at these conferences, we're arm in arm with our regional partners, because really wherever these industries land in any of those 3 municipalities is going to benefit all. So more work, great work there done, and more to come as we continue to collaborate with our partners. And as a segue into that, we also collaborate with our partners in the Peace Region Economic Development at a regional Invest initiative that was hosted by Invest Alberta. So from an Invest Alberta standpoint, when they see us arm in arm, it really makes a big impact. We've seen the success that has been going on at Edmonton on that front, and we're continuing to follow that suit. And when we come in arm like that with Invest Alberta, it's making a great impression. So we'll see more of that moving forward. Switching gears over into events and entertainment, lots going on that front. Nice segue from our presentation just a moment ago from the storm. Pleased to announce that sensory kits are now available at the Bonnett's Energy Center. These kits include noise softening headphones, UV rated sunglasses, fidget tools, and communication style lanyard to be able to identify staff that they are nonverbal, hearing impaired, or sensitive to touch. This is a great initiative we put on to really make sure we're maximizing the enjoyment of all events in our facility for all those who are coming to visit us. The Stampede 2023 was a huge success at the box office, sold over 100,000 more tickets, $100,000 more than our 22 numbers, so great success there. For those Bryan Adams fans there, just a note for everyone, we had our conversation earlier in the week on kind of an events update. The Bryan Adams show had the strongest on sale here in Grande Prairie than anywhere in their Canadian tour. So it's a great indicator to us that when we get great artists coming in, our community will rally around that. And as important, it shows the industry itself that if we get those artists, it will sell. So we can't wait to have that hosted here. There are a few tickets left. We'd encourage people to get in there quickly because it's on the verge of sellout. And we look forward to that on September the 14th. The Grand Gathering Gala was also hosted this past weekend at the Beau's, which was also sold out. And looking forward to this weekend where the GP Powwow is going to be hosted at the Bonnett's Energy Center with all sorts of events and festivities. So we hope everyone can come out and enjoy that as well. So that would conclude the Invest GP update. Happy to answer any questions.
You bet. Thanks for that, Chief Harrop. Councillor Blackmore, please.
Thank you. Chief Harrop, I had a conversation with AHS regarding medical students' residency program in Grande Prairie. So we currently have 6 fourth-year seats and 6 first-year seats and 6 second-year seats, all of which are filled, which is great news to have those residents here. I know that the Community Engagement Advisory people at AHS are hoping to expand the opportunity to bring more residents here. I'm wondering if we are doing any kind of work with the attraction and retention wing of your department to really continue to work to encourage more residents spots to open up with the new hospital. If you need more information, I think the contact is Susan Smith still. But I think that that's something that, I know that some of the doctors who have come here because they did their residency here and they really liked it and they came back. And so it's not an immediate solution to doctor issues, but it's certainly a longer term solution that I think we need to make sure we don't forget about.
Well, thanks, Councillor Blackmore. And I would say from our workforce development standpoint, that is our number one priority, hands down, is that doctor recruitment and retention. So you'll see more coming in the upcoming strategy we're putting together, but there are things we are doing currently to optimize that. We'd love to see more seats in the program. We can't control all of that, but we're working with our regional partners and some other philanthropic initiatives to help expand those seats. Once they are here, we're making sure that we can engage with them to make sure they're enjoying the community to the fullest. Things like passes at Eastlink and just those one-to-one touches that I know some of the folks around the table here have touched. So there's a lot of the kind of one-to-one touches we're doing now, but there's also some bigger initiatives that we're working with the government partners on. And like I said, some of our philanthropic partners are to increase the number of seats. And once they're here, they're staying here. You'll see more there.
Any other questions for Chief Harrop? Okay. Seeing none, going through our agenda, we don't have any other correspondence or other business, so we'll just come back to you for outstanding items list, please.
No updates to the current oil list, Councillor Palat. Everything is on pace as stated there.
Thanks for that. Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, I move that committee receive the June 20th, 2023 outstanding items list as presented for information.
Thanks for that. Senator Eascribe, if you could please vote.
Clarification on that outstanding items list. it mentions that it's at the end in Q2 and we're at the end of Q2. Should that be updated?
Are we referring to the rural renewal program?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to do something on that from an update next week. Just a very brief update. The long and short of it.
You want a week extension is what you're asking?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fine, fair enough.
But as I
amended.
mentioned, on the front of rural renewal, the ask initially from council was, hey, what can we do to drive more demand in there? And that's kind of, as we've worked through the program since then, demand is not our challenge, it's throughput is our challenge. So we'll give a brief update for you and extend the timeline at that point. But it's really going to be more about now, how can we help influence our government partners to help us streamline the back end to increase the volume.
And just seeing like the other item is both as well Q2, so we'll just both amend those to Q3. So Councillor Connor, are you okay with that being as amended?
Yeah, I said so. Thanks.
Okay. Mayor Clayton?
Question, sorry, on that one outstanding item of one. So you're actually going to come back with finite items for council to discuss in regards to potential seniors and family housing projects?
Yeah, so that one, we've already identified the 5 potential locations, but as you know, since then we've had some progress in that front. But I'd like to keep it on the oil list just because there are going to be some more areas that we're looking into. So I would see that one as a continuing rolling update, if you will. I can't be too specific on the kinds of properties that we're
That's
looking
great,
for.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Mayor Clayton in favor.
Councillor Plott in favor. And that carries. And with that, we'll close our Invest GP committee and we'll just take about a minute here and we'll pop back with our public and protective services. Thank you.